Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, your live sunset safari. We're just looking for a bird over there that seems to have absconded. And that's what happens when you're live. It's just watch how it goes. You're watching Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
It's a warm and a windy August afternoon here, 28 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. We're in the northeast corner of the world's most magnificent country, South Africa, and we're in the western fringes of the Kruger National Park. It's all rather complicated. If you're not so good at geography, it doesn't really matter. The big thing that you understand is that you're on a live safari for the next 3 hours. My name is James Hendry. Eggsy is on camera. Hello, Eggsy.
Hi.
There we go. Eggsy said hello. He's quite shy in front of the camera and indeed behind it. On the other vehicle, Brent Leo Smith is being filmed by Wim Durenbraak. They're on their way to see if they can relocate the lions that were eating a buffalo that may or may not have died of natural causes or been killed by some Birmingham boys. No one knows how the hapless creature died. Brent's going back there to see if the lions have returned for their meal. We're going down to the south. Herbert reckoned that maybe Karula would come back towards Djuma this afternoon. She crossed south out of the reserve with Tingana. Her tracks did. So whether she was tracking him or perhaps he was tracking her, we're not sure. She might have come back this way, so that's what we're going to go and have a look for. Between then and now, of course, lots of different things can be here. We started a little bit awkwardly there. There was a lilac-breasted roller that, as we went live, flew off, and that's just what happens when you're live. But because we're live, you can talk to us, and indeed you are encouraged to do so. Hashtag Safari Live if you're tweeting, like none of the birds are doing right now, or questions at wildearth.tv if you want to talk to us on the email. It's lovely to have you along. Like I say, a very warm and windy winter afternoon. That's 3 W's in a row. Did you like that, Eggsy? Yes, you did. Good. Okay, on we go. We're going to head down towards the south and see what we can find. Fairly quiet morning this morning, but for the amazing lions. And so let's go straight across to those lions and have a look at them right now.
Here we go. A close-up of an Nkuhuma lioness's eye. But I don't think it's going to be awake for too much longer. They are snoozing quite heavily in the same set of thickets that they were in on the sunrise safari. As you can see, about an eye is about all we can see at the moment. There's a male lying to the right. I'm not sure where the other two males are. I'm wondering if maybe they headed back towards that buffalo carcass. So we're not going to spend too much time here. We're going to go see what's happening at the dead buffalo. But welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Brent, and I have the incredible Wim on camera. And unfortunately, the Nkuhumas and at least one Birmingham are really in a terrible thicket. And I can't even see the cubs actually from where I am. Oh, I can see what is probably a lion cub lying under a bush. But we're not going to disturb them while they snooze off in the heat of the day. I think it's definitely worthwhile going to see if the other males have made their way towards what's left of that buffalo. Hopefully the vultures didn't eat all of it, or the hyenas. But definitely something going to be happening in that carcass. So while the lions are snoozing and in the thickets, let's go see what's happening up on the crest. And bear with us while we get out of here. Trying to see if we can maybe, oh, look at that, Wim. You can see the nose. There we go. Just a lioness's nose. She is fast asleep on her back. And I think I actually can see a cub. Let's just try forward a little bit. See them there through there, Wim. I don't know if you're going to be able to get a view. But there's a lioness, and just to her right is a little lion cub Trying to see if we can get a view through the thickets. Not really, unfortunately. Let's try a little bit further forward. They're all in the shade, cuddled up together there. Here we go. I'm afraid that's about the best view we're going to get from here. But this is the Nkuhuma Pride, if anyone is new. This is our dominant pride of lions on Djuma. There are 5 lionesses, 8 cubs, and there are 4 male lions that dominate over them, called the Birmingham Boys. Now, I've only seen 1. There were 3 around this morning. Liam, have you seen any other males? Only the 1. I wonder if those other 2 got hungry and headed back towards a buffalo that I'm pretty sure one of those big males killed 2 or 3 days ago, because it's quite smelly. Okay, now as you can see, we're right in the middle of a riverine thicket, which is going to make life quite interesting to get out of here. So while we do that, let's go see how Commander Bond's getting on.
Shh, everybody. Those birds are creeping across the road. There's another one, Eggsy. Other way. That's it there. I don't know why they're creeping across the road on their tippy toes. But it strikes me that they're rather exposed out there. I'm being totally ridiculous. There's no need for me to whisper at all. Let's go a little closer. They're very, very camouflaged, these crested francolins, everybody. And why they were walking so slowly just looked so ridiculous to me that I couldn't resist making some kind of conspiratorial whispering about it. They're very confiding. See how relaxed they are, Eggsy? That's because your beard is the same color as their plumage. Magnificently hidden in the leaf litter there. So were you to be a African hawk eagle, for example, you might struggle to judge exactly where that bird was as you came swooping in to try and catch it for your dinner. I'm more and more impressed by the colours on these francolins, I must say. I don't know if you can hear it, but you can probably hear the wind blowing. It's a bit of a northeaster. It certainly started off as northeast. It might be swinging to northwest now. But you can also, if you listen very carefully, you can hear them digging in amongst the leaf litter there. Looking for little bugs and grubs and whatever else they could find, really. Their only kind of uncamouflaged bit, I suppose, would be those red legs, but they don't look too obvious. Now, this is really actually quite a nice example of when you say to somebody, what is the most obvious colour in the bush? Often they'll say red or orange or yellow or something like that. Look at those red colours there, and they hide quite nicely in the leaf litter. The most obvious colour on that bird is white. There is no white on the ground around them. And that white eye stripe is very obvious indeed. Eggsy, do you think this is the best francolin sighting you've ever had? No, they're not running away exactly, yes. Nor are they flying away. And they'll probably also be looking for some nests fairly soon. Let me just quickly see when they breed. Hello, curious one. While we look at the red legs of the francolin, you want to know if Eggsy's legs ache from the bushwalk that he did this morning. Eggsy, do your legs ache from the bushwalk that you did this morning? Not really, he says. Does that mean they do a little bit? No, he says, He's not a particularly vociferous fellow. He is from Cape Town, of course. which means that his mind needs to kind of warm up when you ask him a question. So he'll probably come up with an answer, curious one, in about an hour or so. But he may also feel it tomorrow. I don't think I've ever seen Eggsy's legs. No, he does sometimes wear shorts. Did you wear shorts today, Eggsy? Not this morning. So, although I say he's looking for grubs and things, my bird app, which is very clever, says that at this time of the year, largely they're looking for green shoots and corms, fruits and berries, but changing to insect-dominated diet in the summertime. That's not surprising. There are many, many birds that will eat insects when they're available, and then they kind of make do afterwards. And if you're a lucky bird like this that can digest a little bit of herbage, I guess, well, then you've got food to eat all year round, and there's no need for you to get up and fly a dangerous distance to the north when the winter months come along. Now, Eggsy, I know that you're desperately enjoying these franklins, but I want to show you a grass. Eggsy, what colour is this grass? No, try again. Use your imagination. No, try again. There. Yes? Red. And therefore it is called? Red grass. There we go. Well done, Eggsy. Red grass it is. Thometa triandra, apparently the world's greatest grazing grass. Now, when an animal eats grass, remember, largely they look for the leaves. They don't want to eat this. Once a grass becomes this sort of once it sticks up its inflorescence and has the strawy bit, it becomes almost inedible to animals. And so it's this that they want. It's the leaves, and especially when it's short, before it's expended all the nutrients to stick this great inflorescence into the sky. It's quite a spectacular little example of red grass there, Eggsy. Righty, let us go. And speaking of things red, we're near Red Dam, so I think we'll pop our heads round the corner and just have a look there and see what's happening. Ooh. Cindy from Florida, I can answer half of your question. You say, can you eat franklins? And secondly, do they taste like doves? I've never eaten a dove before. I have eaten a franklin before. I would describe it as trying to cut through a particularly tough car tire. So it looked delicious. It was stuffed deliciously, but I'm not convinced that it was cooked sufficiently long, and so it wasn't very good at all. But absolutely you can eat them. There isn't much meat on them, though. A Swainson's franklin, which is much bigger, is a better option, but you kind of need one bird per person, but they're absolutely edible, and I believe that if you know how to cook them, and I think they need to be roasted for a couple of hours at a time, then they probably are quite delicious. The ones I had certainly weren't roasted for anything like that length of time, and they tasted and felt like the 14-ply tires that we're currently driving on right now. I don't know what a dove tastes like. I've never eaten a dove, but I've eaten grouse before, sand grouse, and that's delicious. That really is truly magnificent to eat. Guinea fowl, I think, is one of the least pleasant meats I've ever eaten. Here are some buffalo eggs here. And a hippopotamus. And a fish, 2 fish eagles. Oh, wow. One juvenile taking off there. Okay, let's go. I'm going to go forward. Just get onto the adult there, and just in case it flies, Eggsy. It might be brave enough to sit for us. Just need to move over the top of the ridge here so we can get a decent picture. Well done, Eggsy. Good job. Now, we got a picture of this fellow the other day, and he's obviously looking for tilapia and perhaps dying catfish in here. And he will not be afraid at all of the hippopotamus that has come to live in these parts, nor the buffalo that are now drinking of the pea green soup that is in Red Dam. That's quite a nice little picture. And of course, just remember this kind of scene, everybody, because of course in the rainy season, in the middle of summer, the colours will be completely different. Hopefully this will be a lot fuller of water, but the colours will be completely different as well. There will be green grass all over the place, and this water will be probably, while certainly not much cleaner, it will be a lot bluer. And this poor hippopotamus, well, he's actually not so poor. There's a much poorer one living in the mud that used to be the Arathusa Dam. This chap's okay for now. How long he will remain like that, I'm not sure. And I think it's probably also a little difficult for you to appreciate the sizes of these animals. That fish eagle that we were looking at is probably about 2.5 feet tall. So that's pretty big for a bird, I think. And the buffalo, they stand probably about 4 feet at the shoulder. No, a bit more even. Probably about 5 feet at the shoulder, you know, and weighing in at about 2,000 pounds for a big one. Some of them starting to look a bit ropey and not quite reaching the heights of 2,000 pounds. And then the hippopotamus is about the same length. And, oh look, he's just putting his head under the water. He doesn't wish to hear how much he weighs. We'll quickly say it, 2,500 kilograms, which is about 4,000 pounds. Right, Brent has got a buffalo to show you. Unfortunately, it is not quite in as good a state as the three we've been looking at.
Look at that, all the blowflies. There's probably about 5 or 6 different species of flies around this carcass. And there are no vultures here now. And that's not unusual, because if we look into its rib cage, there is still quite a bit of meat on here. But the vultures have eaten everything they're able to. So they've climbed right in there. They've eaten every single little scrap. Their beaks, even the big lapid-faced and white-backed and Cape vultures, are unable to cut through the tough skin of a buffalo. So there is still quite a bit of meat on here. Now, oh, there we go. Wind's changed. Yum. Nothing like the smell of rotting meat in the early afternoon. Now, something spooked the lions here this morning. I think a lot of people speculated that it was possibly a diseased carcass, and that's why the lions didn't want to feed on it. I don't think that's true at all. Something else spooked the lionesses, and the only reason the males left is because one of those lionesses is about to come into estrus. Now, I'm not getting out of the car to examine, because there is a possibility that one of those 2 males that weren't with the lions we just saw might be around. Now, everywhere a vulture's been able to, they've really got in there. So you can see just where the lines had opened up around the neck, around the bones. You can see how the flies are there now. Quite sure we're going to have lots and lots of little maggots shortly. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of them have hatched already. Good place always to look for the first bout of maggots is in the eye sockets. Now that's definitely the work of the vultures. Opening up, eating the eyes, so any little place where they can get their beaks into. Can we see any maggots, Liam? Not yet. Oh. And you can see there's some vulture dung on the horns. So the reason the vultures left is just because they couldn't open up the carcass anymore. Now, I think it's definitely worth coming back here later on the sunset safari and seeing if any of the other scavengers make their way, hyenas, and I think if the lions here, hyenas here, they might make their way back. But we're going to keep on with our endeavors, see what other fantastic creatures we can find out in the African bush. But while we do that, James has got something not as dead as this for you.
I'm sure you can be as dead as anything, really. It's a little bit like being pregnant. You either are or you are not. Now, that is a little warthog, and he's having a drink. He just popped down here to see what was going on. And then coming from the right-hand side, some impala and some kudu that Eggsy spotted, and I'm hoping that they're going to come down to the water's edge. But before they do, I think we might just have to move a little bit, because I think they'll come down to the far end. So let's just try and ease forward. I just don't want to freak out the warthog who's having such a lovely drink. I actually know this fellow, you know that. I've seen him a few times around here, and he's very confiding. So I don't think he'll get a fright. So let's just move around so we can see the end of the waterhole. Just keep an eye on that fish eagly there, Eggsy. He looks like he might think about... Oh, oh, you're watching him? It's just... I don't mind if he flies, but I do want you to see him fly, because it's just such a spectacular thing to do, is to watch a bird flying or taking off. Sorry, Monique, my communications have gone haywire. I'm just going to lift the aerial and then I'll be able to hear your question from K. Max Smith in the final control. Alright, go again with that one, Kirsten. I've lifted the aerial. Monique, you're saying, have I seen something called Gray's Inn? Is that correct? There's a parade end. And you say that it's got a fish eagle in it that looks nothing like this one. It had much more white on it. I can only think that it was a juvenile fish eagle. That most certainly is an adult standard issue looking fish eagle, Monique. So I'm not sure. I can only assume it was a juvenile. I'll show you a picture of a juvenile fish eagle just now. I'm just going to move down here so that you can see at the end of this waterhole all of the kudu coming down. There's a big bull in there. There's some cows. There's also an impala ram who's lurking about with them. I think he hasn't come down to the water yet. And he's lurking about them purely for safety. He's not confused about his identity at all. He's just hoping that they will spot any predators that might want to come and devour him. It's all a rather peaceful scene. It's a great time of the day, at least of the year, to come and sit at waterholes for the whole day. It was not too hot just yet. And at the same time, lots of things come down to have a drink. Tasha, I think if you watch long enough, you'll be able to tell the answer to your question. You say, would that hippo charge the buffalo? It's not impossible, but it's unlikely. They get kind of used to each other, you know, and if you watch the dam cam for long enough, especially as the dry season progresses, you may well see a hippopotamus in that dam, in that little pan. And I mean, at the end of summer last year, we had one hippopotamus in there, and about 12 buffalo used to circle around him and lie next to him, and they'd actually be touching at some stages. So they get on with each other actually quite well, Tasha. He's eyeing us, though. He's eyeing us very carefully. He's seeing whether he approves of Eggsy's beard or not. And just go across to the buffalo if you don't mind, Eggsy. There's some sort of predatory bird around. There was a dove that just flew off. This buffalo has just relieved himself in the water that he is going to drink, that the kudu are drinking, that the impala are drinking, that the hippo is living in, and that most of the other animals are drinking. It is amazing to me consistently how these animals just don't seem to be affected by their sort of dirtiness of the water that they drink. The elephants, however, don't like the dirty water, and Steph had another great example of that yesterday, where he was watching some elephants at the Gowrie Pan, which is where the dam cam is, and there's been a buffalo in there for the last little while, and I suspect He's been doing his business in the water, as this one has. And the elephants took one sip. In fact, one matriarch took one sip and then decided it was not a place for the rest of the herd to drink, and they moved straight around to the Galago Pan, where there was some fresh water, and they stopped and drank there where we saw them. Those guys now lying down in the shade. And in the background you might be able to hear the gentle tink, 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 tink of a blacksmith lapwing. And those buffalo always look to me to be so arthritic and old and feeble until they are set upon by lions, and then all of a sudden they become, or their immense strength becomes apparent. The hippopotamus is now going to sleep as well. It's all rather soporific. Don't you think, Eggsy? Soporific, Eggsy. I think it means sort of sleep-inducing. I think. Very pleasant indeed. Alrighty, I think let's move on from here. See what we can see. We're going to drive down towards the southern end of Arathusa, just sort of parallel with Djuma, just to make sure that Karula hasn't popped across here sometime during the day. And if she hasn't, we'll head back onto Djuma towards the vicinity of Twin Dams. Righty, here we go. And as we're leaving, let's go and find out from Brent what he's doing, where he's going after those lions and that stinky buffalo carcass.
We're going to take a leaf out of James's book, and we're going to head to our closest waterhole. Now, we did have some wonderful sightings of a saddle-billed stork at Buffels Hook this morning, but I'm really hoping we're going to be able to get you a really good view of the tiny little baby blacksmith lapwing. This morning we were on the 300, which is not this camera, so it doesn't have that super zoom, so hopefully Mom won't be so protective. But Mom is often, every time we've been there, she's been over the little baby protecting it. And also not a bad place to have a look for elephants, even though that water's very smelly at the moment. There might still be some around. I think the first thing we're going to see is a truck. Now they are doing some building in Buffels Hook, hence the large truck coming down the northern boundary. Well, a huge welcome to Snow, who said they've been dreaming about a stream like this ever since seeing a documentary as a kid. Well, Snow, this is live, and you can join us for 6 hours a day, every day. We start at the moment at 6 a.m. Central African time in the mornings and end at 9 a.m. And we start at 3 p.m. Central African time in the afternoon and end at 6 p.m. And we've already seen lions, buffalo, a retired buffalo, and some warthog and kudu. And I wonder what the next waterhole's going to hold for us. I have what do you think is going to be there, Vim? Nothing. A plover, yes, a lapwing, which is what I'm looking for. I'm hoping. Oh no, what's that? It's a very uncomfortable looking hippopotamus. So there we go. We are suffering in the worst drought since the early 90s. And one of the animals that really gets hard hit by drought is, of course, the hippopotamus. Now, there's lack of water around. And you can see how that hippo has tried to cover itself in mud to protect itself from the sun. They have quite sensitive skin. That's why they generally only come out of the water to feed at night. You can see the water hole. Oh, there we go. The lapwing's going to be a bully again. Oh, what do you? Oh, well spotted, Viam. An African harrier hawk having a drink. No wonder the lapwings are so upset. They've got a baby around here. He's probably hiding because... Oh no, what's it got? Has it got the baby lapwing? There's something hiding in that crack that the harrier hawk is trying to get out. No, I don't think it's the baby lapwing, or it could be, but generally the adult lapwings would be attacking it. There could be a little lizard. There's something in there. It could be a snake. Quite a lot of predatory birds are very fond of eating snakes. One reason I think it might be a snake is because of the way it's stepping. You can see those yellow legs, heavily scaled, and would probably protect it from a bite. Of course, there could be a frog in the mud there. And you can see there's a bit of mud on the African harrier hawk's legs. Also sometimes known as a gymnogene. You can see how windy it is, blowing the feathers about. There we go. See, there's a bit of red in the face, and that's common during this time of the year. It's their breeding plumage that when they are in breeding season, they go red in the face. Just embarrassed with that whole love thing, you know. Come on, catch it. Really after something in there. I almost think snake just from behavior. What you after, harrier hawk? Oh, certain bird species will eat clay and whatnot, but I don't think that's what's happening here. Just watch when it decides to put those incredibly vicious hooked talons into that crevice. It's definitely trying to stamp on something. See, that's digging out, so it could be something that's disappearing in between the different cracks. So it could be reptilian, and I know everyone's hoping it's not the baby lapwing. Me too. I came here to show you the baby. But even if it is the baby lapwing, that is life. out in the African bush. Oh, it's calling. Just mesmerized at the moment. It's not giving up. Whatever it is, this harrier hawk's not giving up easily. I don't want to move the vehicle and disturb it. I'm just going to be on the game drive radio for a second. Oh! Afternoon, Andrew Nkuma's Gari cut line. No sign of the 2-1 just 1-1 with him. And there's nothing at the Buffalo Carcass. And just some Duggar boys, we're Telepan. Oh, look at that. Hey from Andrew, visuals very bad, 1 out of 5. What? I can't see if it's caught something. It looks like a terrapin, actually, maybe a baby terrapin. Let's just have a look. Where are my binoculars? Oh, I think it might be the baby lapwing. Just wait, stay down there. Oh, it got away. Did it get away? I don't know. It got away. Did it? No, it still got it. Can't really see. Oh, I think it is the baby lapwing. Oh dear. That is quite sad. And just the way that lapwing dive bombed it, sorry. Just get my binoculars out, see if I can. Try with my camera. I can't really see yet. Ben, what do you think?
Can't see at all.
It's definitely got something there. Could have been a frog, but I don't think so. Well, whatever it is, it's in half now. You can just start. I'm going to try sneak a little bit closer. Sorry about that vibration, but we're just going to, BM's going to try to keep the camera there, and I'm just going to edge very, very slowly forward. How's that, BM? Let's just try here first.
Looks like a frog.
Could look a bit like a frog. Could be a platana that was hiding in the mud. Now, platana is a species of frog that's got a very potent set of claws on it. Whatever it was a very small meal. Looking for more now. It's cleaning its beak. Looks like it might be hunting for more. It could easily be a frog. But when he flies off, I will go try see what's left. Oh, incoming is going to be dive bombed. Whoa, do you see that? Maybe that little plover is still hiding somewhere. And the closer that harrier hawk gets to where it's hiding, the more aggressive the plovers are going to become. Or the lapwings. Been watching to see if I can see where the baby is, but that baby with a predatory bird and adults alarming like that is going to be very well hidden. And we're going to keep sitting here and watch this harrier hawk drama play out, but James has got something with 6 legs to show you.
Now, it always seems to happen that when it rains, it pours. So while you were having that spectacular Gymnogene sighting, well, Eggsy and I have been enjoying a spectacular sighting of Frederick the Fly. Now, Frederick the Fly is sitting upon a flower, and this flower is that of a knobthorn. And I have many times mentioned to you how delightful these things smell, but you can never get to them because they're always up in trees. And knobthorns, of course, are very, very thorny. That's why they're called knobthorns, Eggsy. And this fly, I managed to find a tree that was flowering quite low down. And I'll just show you another. There's some more flower. And they smell just amazing. It's a very sort of subtle smell, but it's sweet. And if you walk around here at this time of the year and into September, it touches just about the whole atmosphere. And often you don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming from these flowers. Take a deep breath, everybody. But don't do it if you've got a fly on yours. Take a smell, Eggsy. I'm not trying to show the viewers, I'm trying to let you smell it so that you might experience my own joy. Have you smelt it? It's good, isn't it? You can't smell it, can you? It's a very sweet, subtle smell. And this fly has been very, very patient with us. He's come a long way with us. We were at Red Dam when we picked him up. And basically, as you found the Gymnogene, the African harrier hawk, so this fly was found on his flower, and he's eating nectar. I think he's got a very long proboscis. He's basically a mosquito. A mosquito is a fly, and this chap looks very much like a mosquito. In fact, I wonder, wouldn't surprise me at all to find that this was a male mosquito. I wonder if that's what he is. A male mosquito. And because they don't eat blood, of course, it's only the females that eat blood. And the males tend to eat nectar and fruit. Yeah, could well be a male mosquito. I hope you're not a nasty male mosquito. I might have to kill you. Don't worry, we won't do it on live. We won't do it live, everybody. We don't want you to have to see that, the death of a mosquito. We'll put him back on a tree out here. Now that I've decided he might be a mosquito, I'm feeling much less affectionate towards him. Put him out here. We are leaving him a picnic, so he will have something else to eat if he finishes this particular flower. He has flown off, everyone, to find a lady mosquito who will infect someone with malaria. Foul things. that they are. Alrighty, on we go. I'm trying to think if we should go down to the Arathusa waterhole. I don't think we should because there's no water there, and we've seen a lovely hippo today already, and I don't want to see a very depressed looking one lying in the mud. So I think we're just going to go straight out again back towards Treehouse Dam in Djuma and see if Karula hasn't managed to come across. There is no walk this afternoon. Stefan has gone back to Hoedspruit to his dear wife and child for the weekend, and so it is just Brent and I out this afternoon. That is okay, we will survive. Stoically, shall we not, Eggsy? Yes, good. You'll notice, everyone, that Eggsy has yet to contradict me, and that is simply because he is new. Shortly, he will start to be just like Brian and Viam and tell me I'm talking rubbish. He won't find me funny anymore. We had an incident yesterday when we thought we'd seen the Wahlberg's eagle, and it turned out to be a tawny eagle, and I was very depressed about that. And Eggsy began to giggle hysterically, to the point that he was unable to hold the camera because it was going to shake the picture too much. And that, of course, made me feel very good. But I did realize that, of course, after 2 weeks, Eggsy will not find me funny. Ooh, look, 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 look. There's a little raptor there flying. It's got a snake. There. See it there, Eggsy? It's caught a snake. I think it's an African goshawk from the colour of the legs. No, it's a Gabar goshawk. And it's caught a snake. What kind of snake is the next question? Oh, for that big super zoom lens. It looks long enough to be a tree snake or a boomslang. He's eating it. He caught it on the ground. It's about the right color. It's not, you know, it's a lizard buzzard. The bird, I mean, not the snake. It's definitely a lizard buzzard, not a gabar. And I know that from the store. You can't see it from there. You're at full stretch there, aren't you, Eggsy? He's got a stripe, that sort of central stripe that goes down his chin and down his chest. That is really fantastic. Huh. I don't know what, I mean, I'm guessing what kind of snake it is, but I guess with the resolution that you've got there, I could tell you it was anything, really. It might be a white-bellied sand snake. Hello, Greg. You want to know the difference between hawks and eagles and different birds of prey, I think, if I heard you correctly. Greg, it's largely to do with their sort of biological designation. So a hawk, strictly speaking, a hawk is something that catches its prey in the air. That is what the verb to hawk means. So, strictly speaking, they would belong to the group Accipiter. And Accipiter is a genus, so the generic name for many of the hawks is Accipiter. I'll just get the book out and I'll show you what I mean. Then the true eagles would belong to the genus Aquila. And so something like a fish eagle isn't a true eagle. It doesn't belong to the genus Aquila. But it's basically got to do with how they, you know, their hunting strategy, but they're also their genetic similarity. So a hawk eagle, for example, is just an eagle. It is a true eagle, but it catches birds, and sometimes on the wing. So that's why they call it a hawk eagle. Then you get something like a falcon, which is known for diving, or a kestrel, also catching things in the air. But eventually these sort of categories become blurred, you see. They become blurred by the fact that, well, they become rather more English conventions than they do biological conventions. So if we look here, let me go to the snake eagles. So we've got snake eagles. They're called snake eagles because they catch snakes. That's pretty obvious. The true eagles, distinguished from the other raptors by their fully feathered legs, and most of them come from the genus Aquila. They don't all, and they will normally catch things on the ground. So they won't normally catch things in the air. They'll fly down from a perch. It's normally the Heriatus or Aquila genuses. They all are. African fish eagle is not a true eagle because it is not feathered all the way down to its leggies. Then you get the buzzards, which they're called large soaring hawks, but they're kind of halfway through a hawk and an eagle. They go down sometimes to catch prey on the ground. Sometimes they hawk them. And then you get, let me just move away from the buzzards. Then you get the goshawks and sparrowhawks. So these are the true hawks, the accipiters. And the accipiters is what one of those things is. They normally catch their prey in the air, but sometimes, like that kite, that lizard buzzard, which isn't a buzzard at all, it's much more a hawk. They catch them on the ground. So it becomes, they become English conventions after a while that aren't quite so easy to distinguish from one from the other. I hope that's about as clear as mud. Well, I hope it's a bit clearer than mud, but it probably is about as clear as that pea green soup that we were watching the buffalo drinking just now. All right, that lizard buzzard is still there, everyone, but I'm afraid your view of it is so poor, unfortunately, that I think we'll move on and see what else we can see. That's really exciting. And the sun is also slightly in the wrong place. That's a big snake he's caught. I'd say that snake is probably a good 2.5, maybe 3 feet long, and the bird's only that big. It's tiny, it's about a foot long. Very cool. Eggsy, we've seen a kill today. Well, he probably killed it before we got there. Nasty little snake. Very nice. Okay, we're pulling out of Arathusa now. There are no updates on the radio for them. And let's go back towards Djuma. Big hole, watch out. I've got comms. I'm on comms. Oh, did you put it in? It was out. Sorry about that, Kirsten. Hello, Roger. Very sad news for you today, I'm afraid. You say the fish eagle is not a true eagle. What about the bald eagle? No, it isn't a true eagle. Now, of course, somebody took great offense the other day when I said that the bald eagle wasn't a true eagle. It's an English convention. It doesn't change anything for the bald eagle or the fish eagle. They come from the same genus. They're very similar birds. But strictly speaking, they're not true eagles because they're not feathered all the way down to their talons. I mean, you can call them eagles if you like. Well, I would certainly call them an eagle. But it is in no way meant to cast aspersions on the American national bird, which is a magnificent fellow. He's even bigger than our fish eagle, which is about 2.5 feet. I think the bald eagle's about, isn't he about just over sort of 3'3"? I think he's a big bird. No, maybe it can't be that big. Can't be quite that big. Maybe just under 3 feet. That's basically the genus Aquila. There's one other genus as well. But they have to be feathered down to the legs to be considered a true eagle. Alrighty, round the corner here towards the great brown ivory tree and a red-crested korhaan that is now calling. Going. And Eggsy, if you wouldn't mind just showing us up into this tree. You can see this is one of my favorite trees, not my favorite, but one of my favorites. And this is the brown ivory. Berkemia discolor. And you can see it's only now starting to lose its leaves, and it'll get them back again, I think, in about October. You see, it's a classically shaped tree. Very nice. Not much in the way of mammal life out here, but at least we did see that rather spectacular bird with his snake. Ah, now, Aaron, in New Zealand, you say the lizard buzzard has taken your bird list to what was it? To 90. That's right, 10 more to make 100. And I don't know how many of you were watching this morning, but I'm 95% sure that I saw a striped kingfisher. And I asked if anybody had the striped kingfisher on their bird list, and we had no answer for a positive. So you can't really count it because we didn't find it on camera, but I saw it flash out of the bushes, and I'm pretty sure it was a striped kingfisher. So that's quite unusual. So if you have seen one, please let us know. I know a number of you have got very extensive bird lists, and I'd love to know if you've seen a striped kingfisher here. I didn't think that would be unusual, but I haven't seen one here before. There are many down in the south. Is that an elephant? It is indeed an elephant, Eggsy. That big grey thing over there. Let me just move a little bit forward. Now there are a few of them in here. There we are. They're just easing their way through the woodland. It's not the best view of elephants we've ever had, but it will do for now. I'm sure it shan't be the last view. I'm just trying to figure out how many elephants there are here. I can only see the two. Can you see any others, Eggsy? It's very strange. It's definitely a cow and a calf, who are almost certainly related to each other, and by way of mother and child. Let's just see if the cow turns around. No, I thought it might be our half-trunk cow, but it isn't. And we had an incredible sighting this morning of them eating combretum bushes, breaking them off, chewing at the bark, and giving up entirely on trying to eat the leaves this morning. Yeah, it's just the two of them, everyone. That's quite unusual. It's very unusual. Let's see what she does if she pulls something over. And they really are doing some bush clearing for us at the moment. And this is the kind of advantage, I guess, of having a drought situation. Let's just quickly go across to Buffelshoek Dam and get a catch up with Brent as to what's happening with his African harrier hawk.
Good news, there's the baby lapwing safe and sound. Mom and Dad doing a really good job protecting it. They've escorted it away from the water's edge now. And every time the harrier hawk seems to look up, one of the adults goes quickly for a dive bomb. Oh, the harrier hawk's kicking something again. Oh, it's found something else. So this is only the second time since we first saw it that it started digging again. Oh, moving pieces of clay out of the way. This is just so fascinating. Now, this behavior, not normal behavior, is probably, and it's not probably, it's definitely due to the drought. I really want to go see where that was feeding earlier to definitely confirm, but I think a frog is most likely, probably those platanas. Oh, it's got it. It's got it. All right, let's get a bit closer. So I think those harrier hawks got quite used to us being here. So I'm going to go a bit closer. Okay, let's see if we can see what it's eating. It's a platana. It is a platana. And now those frogs actually have incredibly sharp claws. See, as though it's a really bad time to be a frog with the drought, but it's a really good time to be a predator, whether you be a bird or a lion. Hi, Mia. Mia's in Illinois, and Mia would like to know, would the harrier hawks hunt frogs in the water normally? No, they wouldn't, Mia. As I said, this behavior is probably only because of the drought that they're able to hunt these frogs in the cracks. Isn't this just incredible? It just goes to prove you never know what you're going to see when you jump on the back of the vehicle here on Safari Live. Oh, don't want to waste any. Okay, finished looking for more. Straight back on the hunt. Did you hear a snort, Fiam? I thought I heard a zebra snort. Hi, Monique in London. Monique's saying, well, won't the adult lapwing's behavior alert the harrier hawk that there's a baby around? Not necessarily. A harrier hawk spends most of its life being mobbed, cleaning its beak, being mobbed by birds, because they do feed a lot off baby birds. So being mobbed by a bird is sort of just part and parcel of daily life for a harrier hawk. And we're going to let this harrier hawk continue on its hunting, and we're going to go on a hunt of our own for some other creatures. But hasn't this been the most spectacular little birding hunt? So while we move on in search of some slightly bigger creatures, let's go see what James is up to.
I'm into the area where Steph and Herbert and the inimitable Eggsy were tracking Karula this morning. They tracked her out of the reserve here, but Herbert, just before we came on drive, said to me he thought that she might come back. So that's why we're around this area. Doesn't seem to be a great lot else around here, and it was just those 2 elephants in that herd. So where the rest of them are, or what she's done to cause offence to the rest of her friends, who knows? But we'll have a look and see around the corner what we can find. Many tracks of honey badgers around here, and the first, I know you had a great honey badger sighting yesterday evening with Brent, but the first one I ever had here was of a mother and 2 youngsters in this very drainage line, and they're obviously still living around here somewhere, but perhaps not right now. There we go. Thank you, Chris Rogue. You say you've got a striped kingfisher marked as seen with Scott in December 2014. Thank you very much for that. So they have been seen here, but the fact that it was so long ago, I think, says that they're not common in this area. Well, they definitely aren't. I haven't seen them here. And I'd be interested to know if anybody else has got one. I don't know why they wouldn't be common here. They're, like I say, they're common in the south, perhaps. They like slightly more open areas, and they're not fish-eating kingfishers. They're much like the woodland and the brown-hooded, both of which are insect eaters. Now, they'll take frogs and things as well if they can, but it's largely insects. If I'm not mistaken, they're also migratory. Are they migratory? I think they are migratory. Maybe we had tracks, we do not. Look at this kind of hazy stuff building off to the west there. That's quite exciting because it's the first kind of change in the afternoon weather when those storms start to build on the Drakensberg Mountains. And they do lie to us like politicians for a couple of months before they actually do anything about the rain that they threaten. I'm now on the tracks of Eggsy and Steph and Herbert. Hello, Rachel. You're wondering what many wonder and sometimes ask and sometimes don't. You say, are there any animals that are really suffering from the dry season, from the drought? And if they are, if they ever get really bad, would we help them? The answer is, I wouldn't say that there are too many that are suffering too badly right now. There are some that are not looking very good, and especially animals like the buffalo we saw yesterday, which probably has got bovine tuberculosis. Looks like it was quite sick. And you probably find that that buffalo is sick because it can't get enough to eat and enough to drink. And that's because of the drought and the consequent dry season that's come afterwards. Now, would we ever do anything about that? The answer is no, we wouldn't. If it was an endangered species like a wild dog or perhaps a cheetah, well then yes, we'd probably step in and try and see if we couldn't help out. But a buffalo is not an endangered species, and drought is a completely natural part of what happens out here. It's been happening for millennia, and it's just not really our place to try and intervene. And sometimes that can be very difficult to watch. I did hear a bit of a rumor today that the Kruger Park was culling hippopotamus, for example. In other words, putting them down so that they don't sort of suffer through the dry season. I personally think that this is a mistake because, you know, animals can get hell of a ropey looking, pretty awful looking, and people say, oh, but you've got to help them, and put them out their misery. Half the time they get out of their own misery quite on their own. And a brilliant example of that was the cub, the lion cub that was with the Nkuhuma Pride, and we saw it at a buffalo kill about, what was it, must have been 2 and a bit weeks ago now. And looked like, yeah, she's back. Or are these the ones you followed today? Yeah, you followed these ones today. So she's not back. These are the same ones. A lion cub from yesterday that we all thought was very badly injured. And many people said, well, are you going to help it? And we had to say, no, we're not, and it's probably going to die. And then there were estimates that its pelvis had been broken and its back leg was broken. And then people thought, no, it must be some kind of foot injury or perhaps, but it was all hopeless. Even now, we even had people talking about its spinal column being severed, and it was never going to survive. Well, it's still with that pride. It doesn't limp anymore. It's absolutely fine. Half the time, we've got absolutely no idea what's going on out here. So I think the less we intervene, the better. And David, you're a new viewer, so welcome and thank you for getting hold of us. Please tell us where you're from. It's always nice to know. And you say, are wild dogs endangered? Yeah, wild dogs are severely endangered, David. There are probably about 450 of them left in the Kruger National Park. That's probably an overestimate. Maybe 350 of them left in the Kruger Park. Fewer than 2,500 in the world. And they occur sort of through East Africa into Botswana, Zambia a little bit, and then here and in Zimbabwe. And that's really not many at all. And they're highly endangered, very special, and they're endangered because of disease. So canine distemper has wiped out a pack recently in the Kruger National Park. They come into contact with domestic dogs because they are very good at getting under fences and they like to roam wildly, and so they pick up diseases from domestic dogs even though they can't breed with them. And so that's really harmed them. And also, you know, they used to be shot as vermin. People thought they were merciless, mindless killers of antelope and other species that seemingly had more right to life. It's absolute rubbish, but they used to be shot because they were as vermin, and that's why they are endangered. They are the wolf of Africa, David. I don't know if you've seen them before, but they are my favorite animal out here by some margin. Well, elephants are pretty close. Leopards not too bad either. Lions, they're a bit down. Now, there's a quarry here where they take a bit of gravel every now and again to put on the road, and this is where she crossed out. Not so, Eggsy? Yes. And that Balanites tree there. You were just about to say Balanites tree, weren't you, Eggsy? Yes. Eggsy's quite new, everybody, so it's all rather a learning experience for him, as it is for all of us, actually. And we were just discussing Eggsy's birding experience, and we were very impressed to find out that he's now able to distinguish between a chicken and a hornbill, which I think is a very good start. I certainly couldn't tell the difference when I started guiding. Would you like to start a bird list, Eggsy? I think you should. You can put chicken and you can put hornbill on it, and lilac-breasted roller. And ostrich, indeed. There you go, you've already got 3. There we go, Mike in Florida, who has a very extensive bird list from Safari Live. Jeepers. Oh, it's a plane, sorry, I thought it was a very big bird. An aeroplane over there. I thought we were about to be attacked by an Andean condor. Mike, you say that very early on, or a long time ago, you had striped kingfisher added to your list. Well, that's good. So it has been seen, just possibly not very commonly, and it was the 27th bird that you saw on your list. So I'm just going to pull off the road here. There's some people in a safari hurry behind us. We'll wave friendlily as they go by. Hello, well thank you for watching us all the time, and I hope you tell all your friends to watch us, and insist on them. She does. You are live now, so you are famous immediately. You are, yes.
Hello, America.
Yes. Good, thanks. How are you doing? Anderen Chu Morin. Thank you very much for coming to Africa, and I hope you have a wonderful time while you're here. Good, good, good. Enjoy your drive. Are you off to Chitwa? Are you going to Chitwa? Enjoy. Okay. Bye-bye. Isn't that nice, everyone? So those are viewers who've come out here, and they're staying at Elephant Plains, and what a joy that is. It's always so nice when that happens. And that's the whole point of this, really, you know. The whole point of what we do out here is to try and get people enthused about coming here and hopefully enjoying firsthand this incredible wilderness area. And if you can't make it here, well, perhaps it will inspire you into your own wilderness areas. Or at the very least, to save a bit of water when you're washing your car. Okay, let's go across to Brent, get an update from him. I don't think there are any leopard tracks here, I'm afraid.
Guys, I'm just listening to the radio. There's something very exciting going on. Mike. Copy, thanks, Mike. I'm on Cheetah Cutline. Do you mind if I come join you? And then could you also give me the update on the Mashoa? Sorry, guys. Copy, thanks so much. I'll check Cheetah Cutline for any tracks. So, guys, very, very exciting. There's a surprise that way, but I'm not telling you what it is. And it's not the Mashoa. Who knows what Mashoa means? If you know what Mashoa means, send me an email, questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live. What animal is a Mashoa? Let's see who's been listening to their Shangaan lessons. Okay, so there is another sighting. There's a possibility of Mashoa coming up from the south. So we're gonna check very quickly. Well done, Blobbert MacBlob. It is indeed a African wild dog, and so there are apparently tracks coming this way. They're my favorite animal, but there's another sighting down that area as well. I'm just going to see where James is exactly. James. James, what's your position? Okay, copy. You head towards Twin Dams. I'll check Cheetah Cutline for tracks. So we're going to keep focusing on the Mashoa, the wild dog. And we're going to let James go to the other surprise. So we're going to check very carefully here, see if there are any tracks around. And very exciting. I wonder which pack of wild dogs it could be. So historically, we've only seen 2 packs of wild dogs here. The Sabi Sands pack and the Investec pack. But recently, we've been seeing a new pack of 3 dogs, which is a dispersal pack, or actually probably a remnant pack is probably a better word, from the lower Sabi pack. 3 individuals that survived an outbreak of canine distemper which wiped out 20 other dogs. So these ones are real survivors, and we're hoping they might breed late this year and set up shop here on Djuma or Arathusa. So, without further ado, let us send you off to the other big surprise.
What a stroke of luck, everybody. There, a beautiful leopard. I think it's Karula. I'm just going to have a look. We just got here. Looks like her. Pretty much where we were going to come and check. I just was about to turn north before we got this far. That's her. Hello, Queen, Your Majesty, Mom. That's a real stroke of luck, everyone, isn't it? Now, leopards do like to drink for a little while, as do the lions. I'm just going to see if we can get around the other side so we can get a nice picture of her with her face lapping up that rather disgusting water in which many catfish have been. Hooray! Ah. Mike from Cheetah Plains was just driving along here and he bumped into her. Well, not physically bumped into her, of course. Hello, Twitter handle Driving Over Leopards. You say, are there any animals that are knocked down or run over on these reserves? Driving over leopards, this is a very unusual occurrence. It does happen sometimes in the Kruger Park when there are lots of vehicles, but no, not out here. In fact, if it were to happen out here, it would almost certainly be a really sort of heinous mistake by a vehicle, unless a terrified animal perhaps ran in front of the car with the light on. So, you know, a stunned animal, an animal stunned by lights. How's that, Eggsy? There is the Queen enjoying her afternoon tea. Marvellous. Eggsy, we're not on blurry safaris. Just Eggs, is the ambient sound up? Because you can actually hear her lapping away. You can hear the. Isn't that nice? Okay, we can turn it down again, Eggs. I think it was just the wind. I just wanted you to hear that. And it always amazes me how long they drink for. I've seen a leopard sit and drink for 15 minutes. Just beautiful. Now, many of you would have been on drive with Brent yesterday evening with Nkanyeni, and you can see the difference in their colour. Pale lineage is Karula's, is the Royals lineage. Much more honey coloured than gold. Well, she's not going to drink for 15 minutes. She's going to go straight behind us. Sleek, and she's got that slight dewlap. Slight dewlap being the bit of skin that hangs off her chest, but she doesn't have a saggy belly anymore, and that's because her cubs have stopped suckling, of course. They've stopped suckling for some time now. Let's just ease our way around. I think she's going to go back south, I'm afraid. That's okay. Maybe she's got a kill around here, and maybe Hosana and Shongile also are here. Let's get up here. We'll just get a nice view as she comes out of the bush this way. Hold on tight, everyone. Here she comes, Eggsy, through them bushes. Oh, hang on. What's she doing in there? Let's just watch down there in the bush. Thought maybe she'd stashed something. She doesn't appear to have stashed anything in there. Here she comes. All goes. Let's carry on. She doesn't look like she's eaten either in the last little while. And thank you all for your screenshots. She really is looking rather splendid in this light. Yeah, I think she's got something down south. She's heading back south towards the boundary. Well, now she's just sitting, so let's just wait here a second. She's adopted what I like to term the Pooh Bear stance. Contemplating. This heaving camera cannot find focus. I'm going to blame the camera. There we are. And Michelle in New Jersey, you say, is this Treehouse Dam? No, this is Twin Dams. I possibly should have told you that, but this is Twin Dams. Twin Dams is on the right on the southern boundary, you see. And let me just sneak past here. I'm going to ease down here with her, because I think she's going to cross. Let's just go actually around the bushes here. Hold on there, Eggsy. Don't fall off. Your career is budding. You've barely started. It would be a tragedy were you to become a casualty of my poor driving. Many have survived, so should you. There she is. Oh, she's looking so regal at the moment. Oh, she's going to go south. Sorry, everyone. I'm in two minds. Oh, we're going to have to follow her this way, I'm afraid. Shamel, you say she's far from her usual territory? No, not at all, Shamel. She's in her usual territory. This is where she would normally be. I can try and draw you a picture if you like just now. It will be a terrible picture, but I can try. Right, enjoy this, everybody. This is going to be the last we see of her. She's going to go south. Go ahead, Brent. Sorry, go again. Yeah, she's about to just cross here. Go for it. That's just Brent saying, can he come past, of course. Look at her. I wonder what she spotted. I mean, Brent could also come into the sighting, of course, because there are only two people here. Yeah, she's sitting nicely now. There's Brent. Look at that little tail flicking from side to side, telling the birds that she's no threat to them. trying to avoid them, alarm calling at her. There are a couple of drongos in front of her who've definitely been watching her. She's seen something else in this bush here. And I don't think she's eaten for a while. So there you can see a nice angle from Brent's car. And I don't think that she has eaten for a while, and I wonder, she hasn't spotted anything here, but she is sitting right out in the open. So what it is she's seen, she may have seen something enormous like a buffalo, for example, in which case she'd watch it and look longingly and hungrily towards it. Where are her little ones? They're somewhere to the south of us. You know, it's so interesting that, Shamel, maybe your comment is coming from the fact that before she had her babies, she didn't spend that much time around here. She spent much more of her time to the north and to the east of where we are now. But since she's had those two youngsters, this road has formed the kind of focal point of where she's kept them. In fact, they were born on this, not quite on this road, but she kept them when they were very little on this road. And I think it's quite interesting that she's chosen to kind of keep them one half this side of the road and one half the other. And I'm not really sure why that should have been. She's listening and smelling. Of course, the wind is making her sense of smell not particularly effective here because it's blowing from behind her. Hello, Abigail. You're in Thailand. How wonderful to hear all the way from Thailand. You want to know how far leopards will travel from their cubs? Well, quite far when their cubs are 8 months old. Her cubs are nearly 8 months old. They're sort of 7.5. And she will happily travel sort of, I don't know how many kilometers. Let's say at least 4 or 5 kilometers from them, sometimes even a little bit more. And 12 kilometers, for those of you operating in the imperial system, is roughly 7 miles. 7.5 miles. But I mean, I've seen her leave when those little things, I mean, there were those tiny little, when they were little, probably only about 2 months old. And when they were 2 months old, she walked all the way from about here into Buffelshoek and back down towards them. And that was, I mean, that was a march of some, it was probably a march of some 10 kilometers as the crow flies. So that's quite far. But these days, with them 8 months old, she'll happily leave them for an extended period. Eggy, very, very astute question from you. You say, if Karula's cubs are no longer drinking milk, if they're not suckling, how are they getting enough water? Why wouldn't they accompany her to the water? Eggy, the two aspects of this question, I think the first is that I'm not sure that she came specifically to the water. I suspect she's been on the hunt. She certainly was this morning when Steph and Herbert and Eggsy were following her. And so she may have just passed the water and decided she needed a drink. And she's also expending, obviously, much more energy on a hot day than her cubs are, because they'll be resting up somewhere. The second thing is that leopards are not dependent on water for their survival. They get sufficient water from their prey. And desert leopards, desert-adapted leopards, don't actually need to drink at all, and sometimes they never drink. So they will drink if they can, but there's no real need for them to drink. I've just spotted 2 cardinal woodpeckers, which I'm not going to ask Eggsy to try and film with that camera, but I wonder if she's not just doing a bit of birding at the moment. What do you think, Eggsy? What do you think her bird list is at? Do you think it's better than yours? Better than chicken, ostrich, and hornbill? And roller? You don't think she's seen a chicken? I think you're probably right, Eggsy. I think a birdless is probably about 250, but given the fact that there are no chickens here, you got one on her there. That's wonderful. Goodness, kitty, kitty, bang, bang, I don't know. You say, are there rosettes or spots on this leopard on her skin, or are they on the individual hairs? Well, they come from the skin, obviously. There are different follicles on the skin for different coloured hairs. So I'm going to say, kitty, kitty, bang, bang, if you were to shave this leopard, and hopefully that will never happen to her, I suspect you would see markings that were very similar to those rosettes, and that would be brought about by the fact that I assume the follicle of a black hair is a slightly different colour to the follicle of a blonde or honey-coloured hair. Does that make sense? I'm going to assume that you'd see that in the skin, but I couldn't tell you for sure. Very good question. That's the joy of this job, you see. You keep getting asked questions you don't know the answer to, and then you have to go and find out. Or, if you're really lucky, someone at the other end will tell you the answer to the question that you don't know. There. Listen. Can you hear that? There's a... Yeah. The tail flicking. She started flicking her tail. You see, she opened her mouth as a rattling testicular started to call, and she started to flick that tail even more. You say it's very distracting, reader, to see her flick her tail like that. I think that's the whole idea. Not that it distracts us, but much more that it distracts the birds. What a very kind thing of her to just stop here and sit and wait, rather than crossing to the south. X-Ranger, you say if the Queen of Juma was to bestow a knighthood on me, it would be Sir James of what? I think that would have to be up to her, you know. I'm not sure what it would be. Sir James of the DRC. Sir James of Kenton-on-Sea, perhaps. I just hopefully not Sir James. I just hope it's not Sir James of Wendy or Rusty. That would be insulting. What was that, Kirsten? I think Kirsten had some kind of... Sir James the laxative of the bush, said Kirsten. Kirsten, a laxative is not a place. However true that might be, it's not a place. It could be Sir James of the Midden, though. Sir James of the Dung Pile. Sir James of the Scat. That would work. Much as I would hate for it to be the case. Wonder what it would be for Eggsy. Eggsy of the Hen Hutch. Right, I've taken about 75 pictures of her doing exactly the same thing, so I think I'll stop myself now taking further pictures of her doing the same thing. I'm just rather fascinated by why she's sitting here. I don't really understand why it is. We're about to be passed by a cheetah-coloured van. It's going to be very exciting, everybody. You won't see it, don't worry, we'll keep it on Karula. We are, unfortunately, on one of the main access routes, and this poor chap is trying to get his guests into a sighting. Not into a sighting, into a lodge. And this, of course, was this strange thing that Karula did, was to keep them under culvert on this road for a few months. In a very strange place. Because there's so much activity. Hello Rachel, you're a new viewer. It's great to hear from you, and obviously one of the things that you don't exit, there's an elephant behind you there. See there? Just sitting in the bush. We'll go back to the cat. Rachel, you're wondering about whether or not a hungry leopard like this might pose some kind of threat to us. And the answer, Rachel, is no. She doesn't see us as prey. There goes the lovely cheetah-coloured van. Let's go back to the leopard. And so, Rachel, we're totally safe over here. I have heard, of course, of leopards, and I've seen leopards charge vehicles before. I've had a leopard leap onto my car before, but that was not because he was hungry. It was because he was angry with some wild dogs. They just don't see us as something to eat, you know. They just see the vehicle as a normal part of the day, and their immediate reaction, if they do feel threatened, is to run away. It's not to approach us. But she is just sitting in the most regal way. So Rachel, and the same thing with the lions. They behave in precisely the same way. Sometimes you feel a little bit threatened by them, but even on foot, Rachel, if I was to get out of the car and she was ravenously hungry, her first reaction would be to run away from me. It wouldn't be to come anywhere near us. Now, I'm not sure how long we're going to be able to sit here for. Oh, there, look, she's running. Sorry, I thought you were about to miss her. Nail something behind you. Go for it. She started running. She stopped again. Look. She's stalking everybody. There she goes. She's definitely spotted something in there. Look how flat she is. Oh, she's going south into the reserve. South of us. We can't see what she's looking at because there's a vehicle parked just in front of her. And I don't want to start the engine. Let's just be very quiet. You see something? Yeah. There we go. Now let's see what she's looking at. Now here you can see the amazing coloration that a leopard has for this time of year. It's perfect. Look at that. You wouldn't see that if you came walking past here, and she'll flatten herself against the ground if she sees something. She's definitely spotted something. You saw the way she moved across the road there. I'm staring into the bush now. I cannot see anything that she might be looking at. Station approaching sighting at Twin Dams. I think we're going to have to leave, everybody. No, we're not. That person's gone the other way. Excellent. We'll stay here. The next person to leave will have to be us, I'm afraid, because we've been watching her for quite a while now. I'm scouring into the bush to see anything in there. I can see a drongo that's been there the whole time watching her. For some reason, not alarm calling. Now, you mean you can track leopards by the alarm calls that drongos give sometimes. So I think we'll just sit very quietly here and see what transpires. Katja, you make such a great point. You say she looks more liquid than solid when she's stalking. Absolutely she does. Here she goes, everyone. She looks very liquid indeed. As my sister used to say, I think, cats are so bendy. And they are so bendy. All right, everyone, I think we're probably going to have to leave the sighting. She is on the reserve to the south of us. There's another vehicle approaching, which means they're going to take charge of the sighting because she is south of us. But let's watch her go. I'm not affecting her at all by sitting here. Well, just see what she does. But we might have to leave soon, so I do apologize. But there's now we can do. Can you still see her, Eggsy? I can't see her, but the people in front of us can. And so I don't think she's disappeared. All right, everybody, there are now 4 vehicles in the sighting, so we're going to pull out. We've had a wonderful view, and it's just a much better view idea that she isn't pressured at all by all of us. What a fantastic sighting. Whatever she manages to kill there, I hope she brings it back this way. There she is. You can just have one last look at her and then we'll pull out. Beautiful. Okay. Wonderful stuff. Cheers, eh? All right, let's head across to Brent, get an update from him. What a fantastic sighting that was.
Look at this. There's a baboon fight. Not really a fight, more of a scolding by one of the dominant male baboons on a younger one, or actually on a female. You can see how much physically bigger that big male is than the females. Now, baboons have quite funny rear ends. Now, if we have a look at that female just to the right of screen there, who's standing on her back legs, you can see her behind is very swollen. And that is a sign of estrus. Oh, there's a couple there, a little bit to the left. There we go, that female there. So she is in estrus, ready to mate. And 2 of those females are actually in estrus there. You can see the swollen hindquarters. A nice, oh, look at the little one, he nearly fell when he jumped into the branch. But the big male baboons rule these troops with an iron fist. And they don't tolerate any misbehavior from the other members. Let's just move, see if we can get another good view of them. They're unfortunately moving quite quickly up into the bush. So at this time of the day, the baboons are moving towards one of their roosting spots, and a big troop's going to need some big trees, and they're like big high trees like jackalberries, some big leadwoods, where they feel safe from predators. Now, leopards and lions are the only 2 real baboon predators out here, and even then a female leopard would think twice about tangling with a baboon. Those big males have canines that are longer than lions. But at night, I have seen female leopards grab them out of the trees while they're sleeping, and that causes mass pandemonium amongst the baboon troop. stick with them as long as possible. They are one of the more fascinating creatures to watch for extended periods. They're always up to something. For me, they always have a look of guilt, like they've just done something wrong or they're about to. So they're moving quite quickly, probably trying to get through to a little river system where there are those big trees. And there's that big tree near Twin Dams where Karula was just as a sort of an ideal roosting spot for the baboons. They might be heading, I think they are heading towards the little river system around Treehouse Dam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try get up ahead of them and wait for them. Oh, they're still opposite me. Maybe wait for them to come through. Now, Lisa's wondering, what exactly do baboons eat? Well, they are the ultimate omnivore. They'll eat insects, flowers, leaves, bugs, birds. I'm just trying to see. There you go. It's really quick. I'm going to get up ahead. They are moving quite quickly through the bush. As I said, they don't want to be stuck out in the African darkness, just like we don't. All primates, our night vision is terrible. So they're in the rush hour to get home to a good safe spot to spend the night. Oh, and here comes our rush hour. Hello, hello. Baboons. Yeah. Enjoy, guys. Bye. Okay. Now, I'm hoping they're going to pop through just up here. So I'm going to get to this little bend in the road and I'm going to sit quietly. Now, our baboons are not too used to vehicles. So they can be a bit skittish. That's why I've gone up ahead of them, and I'd rather let them come to us. But being primates like us with those forward-facing eyes, they might be aware of my plans. You see them, Vim? Let's try a little bit further forward. But Safari Jenny is wondering what happened to the wild dogs. Well, I think they didn't come north. I checked for tracks. There were no tracks. So unfortunately, I think they must have stayed down south somewhere. But it looks like the baboons have given us the slip. Smart primates. It is an absolutely gorgeous winter's afternoon, and while Viam and I enjoy our moment in the African sunset, let's go see how Eggsy and James are enjoying theirs.
Are we live? Goodness gracious me. I seem to have pulled this out again. Hello, everybody. How long have we been live, Eggsy? Just now. Okay, good. We've just heard a bird here that I don't think I've seen before. It's either a bearded or a white-throated robin chat calling there. Now, let's see if we can't spot it. I think it's in that splendid thorn. It'll be close to the understory. No, don't stop calling now. Come on. Call again. It was making the most lovely call. Let me play both of those species quickly on the phone and see if we can't call him out. Robin, not Tobin. Robin chat. Right, here we go. Here's the white-throated. Would be that one. Now the thing is with these birds is that they're so very good at doing other birds' calls, and so seldom do they sound the same in two areas. But they do recognize, I think, the tone of each other's voices. He's not calling again. Alright, so that was the white-throated robin chat, which I think this is most likely to be. Let's peer the bearded now. Isn't that lovely? They're so beautiful. Anyway, so that's them. And this fellow stopped calling now. Now, Eggsy, what I'm going to do, you see this thing of bushes here? That's potato bushes. I'm going to get out. I'm just going to walk towards it. Just put the camera there. And let's just see if the bird doesn't flush. And then I'll bring you back some potato bush to have a smell of, Eggsy. Yes, it's very right. It's correct. Thank you, indeed. I'll just watch out here. If it does flush, it'll be from somewhere there. There. No, that's a white-browed scrub robin that's calling now. This is not potato bush, everyone. This is gruvia. Gruvia growing in a thick stand, a raisin bush. Let's just watch here, see if anything flushes. There. We're not going to see it with that camera, I'm afraid. And I can't see exactly what it was. No, we'll have to call that quits and come back down here, I think, with a bit more zoom lens. Eggsy, have you lain in the sand before here?
No, sir.
You must do it. I must just tell you that the feeling on a warm, late winter's windy afternoon of lying in the sand is, it's just magnificent. It's like the earth somehow, I guess it's like lying on a sponge of earth energy where, you know, on the slightly harder soil, it doesn't quite seep into your bones in the same way as it does in the sand. You like that, Eggsy?
Yes.
You didn't see it. You didn't see me lying in the sand. Why not?
Yeah, you were too in front of the car.
Oh, gosh. It's so difficult dealing with these cameramen. They're full of excuses. Yeah, here we go. I'll attempt not to pull this thing out of my ear socket again. Not sure why it's happening. I'm obviously wriggling about a bit today. Right, on we go. Let's head towards Biffleshoek Dam and see if anything else has arrived there. And then we'll head back down. In fact, I think, you know what, with the sun like it is now, let me just check. Yeah, I think we're going to go straight back to those lions now and see if they aren't getting active. Let me just get an update on the radio as to what's going on with them. Any station with the animals of Gari Cutline? Nothing. Right. Any stations with the pride of Gari Cutline? I'll turn this on so you can hear, but no one is talking to me. Oh well, we'll go there and see what happens. Hold on, Eggsy. Right, so you probably won't see Brent again for the next little while. That is not because there is any tragedy or emergency, fear not. He is just doing some filming for a Nat Geo Wild, well, I guess what we'd call it, a roll-in or cutaway, I suppose. And I'll do the same tomorrow. And so in the afternoon, of course, during golden hour, we want to look our best, you see. Did you get that, Eggsy? Did you get me looking my best? He's now starting to look embarrassed. There's a lovely black-crowned chagra I saw there, but again, not going to reach it with this lens. Drive a little bit faster now and see if we can't get to those lions before they start to move. I'm pretty sure the cubs will have started to play by now. Ooh. Hello. There's a viewer from Paris getting hold of us, and we don't really know how to say your name. K-I-M-E. I'm just going to say Kim, if that's all right. And N for nose, right. K-I-N-E, Kin. We're going to call you Kin for now, and apologize profusely because I've no doubt that's incorrect. So, you want to know if, being in an open vehicle like this, you obviously saw those other people on those open vehicles, and you say, you know it's safe, but if someone is sick and weak or perhaps old, would lions or leopards not pick up on that weakness and then see, you know, as they do with animals, and not perceive the weakness and then see us as prey? The answer is no, they wouldn't, because they don't see us as prey anytime, and especially on the vehicles. It's almost like they don't recognize that we're people. I'm not convinced that that's the case, but they just don't perceive us in the same way. If they saw people walking in the bush, and one was obviously limping and looking miserable and morose and sore, then I think they would absolutely pick up on that. In the vehicle, no. Eggsy. Eggsy, Eggsy. Oh, Eggsy. What have we here, Eggsy? It's an African hawk eagle. It's so close to where the Wahlberg's eagles have their nest that I thought maybe it might be a Wahlberg's. The other one's on the... Eggsy, the other one, and you see it there. Let's just go around the corner. It's definitely the partner. Just around the corner. I don't want to flush it off the ground like we did with the lizard buzzard earlier. There. Eggsy, there it is. Can you see it? It's gone down onto the ground. Here comes the second one. I think it's caught something. The other one's flying around, distracting them. There. Oh, wow. I don't know what happened there, everyone. I think that there was some hiding underneath the bushes here. Maybe the Franklin was hiding in the bushes there and it got away. I think it did get away. But you see how the one landed and the other sat there, and then as the one pounced, the other one went off. And often what happens is the bird on the ground, say a Franklin or a dove or a guinea fowl, will escape the initial attempt, and then the one circling above will hammer it as it comes up off the ground. So that's the African hawk eagle, not Eggsy, the other one. What's the other one called? The sad bird, yes, the Wahlberg's eagle, which we did not see yesterday. Alrighty, let's go back to the lions. This is where they live. See them there? Now, if you see a bird sitting in there, you can be fairly sure that it is the Wahlberg's eagle. They are the pale form Wahlberg's couple, Mr. and Mrs. Pale Form. I think there are a few people in that sighting. They're not responding to the radio, and there are one or two people trying to get hold of them. Are there any stations in the sighting on Gari Cutline? Just listening to Candace talking. I'm making my way there from Gari Dam. Righty. Here is the waterhole at which there were baboons earlier on. But I think they've gone away now. Now, I've just figured out why it is that my earpiece keeps coming out. It is because my pants keep becoming stuck on the back of Wendy's deeply ancient seat, which has fallen apart, probably due to the greater mass of Brent Leo Smith and Scott Dyson. And so it keeps pulling my wire out. Sorry about that, everyone. We're not too far from the lions now. What a lovely question, all the way from Spain. Hello, Nina, again. We've definitely heard from you. It's good to hear from you again. You say, how long would it take for agricultural land to become wild again, to return to its natural state? It depends. I mean, it's an impossible question to answer, but it's a lovely discussion to have. Phinda, for example, where Brent grew up or spent a lot of his formative years, was agricultural land, was pineapple farming. Now, pineapple farming absolutely denudes the landscape. It takes away all the natural nutrients, and so it took, I mean, you can still see that some parts of it were agricultural, and Phinda has now been around probably, I think they had the 20th reunion about 5 or 6 years ago, so about 25, 26 years. So, you know, you wouldn't, if you didn't know, I suppose you wouldn't know. But you can see, if you do know the area, that it was certainly agricultural land before that. But remember that there is no natural state of land, really. This is a constantly changing landscape, and if you were to come back here in 150 years, it would look completely different from what it looks now. And so it's difficult to say whether Phinda, which is a good example of agricultural land that's been turned to wildlife, it's really difficult to say whether it would have looked like that 250 years ago or if it would have looked slightly different. Both of them are natural. There's no alien vegetation there. It's all natural vegetation. The species of animals are all naturally occurring. So it's very difficult to say. But you can be very sure that any land that has been used for agriculture, especially kind of fruit agriculture, where they've had to put high inputs into the soil, lots of fertilizer, monospecific agriculture, so where they've only grown one species of food, you can be very sure that the soil is going to be denuded, and it's going to be really difficult for natural vegetation to come back. But it will always return back. It always happens. It's incredible how nature reclaims what we do. And I remember when I lived in Johannesburg, my favorite thing was to walk along a pavement when it was cracked and see the grass coming through, and just thinking to myself, nothing we can do is going to ever be permanent on this world. And I just think that's a wonderful thought. Now, these lions should be around here. But Candace is just in front of us there, and I'm not sure that she's seen them. Hello, Acadia. You're wondering how we keep track of who's moving into what sighting when and who's in the queue and who isn't. It's on this radio and it's not very easy. I must tell you, for a sighting, for example, like they had with that leopard. And, okay, the lions are just in front of us. But what's interesting, Acadia, is how we do it is, so if, for example, let's say Candace had just found those lions, she'd call it in. Then because I was approaching as the second person coming in, I would then control the queue behind it. And the last person to call in is the person that has to control the sighting, so that those who are in the sighting can still enjoy it with their guests. Well, does that make sense? Right, here are these two males that you've seen already. Now, where the rest of the pride is in relation to these ones, I don't know. So they're the males, everyone, but I don't know where the rest are. I think I'm just going to ask Kirsten to confirm whether the others were also seen today, at least this afternoon, or whether it was just these ones who are fast asleep. Okay, so these are the... So apparently there were only these ones and the lioness and no cubs earlier on. So I don't know where the cubs are. There were cubs, but they were hidden in the bush. I'm not sure whereabouts from here. But they might be becoming active fairly soon. Let's just ease our way up the road slightly and see if we can't find them. Also ask Kirsty maybe to get hold of Brent, just so that he can tell me exactly where they are, if he's got space to tell me. We'll just see if we can't see some vehicle tracks. Right, here we go. Brent's on the radio. Go ahead.
There's that little redwood, probably about 3/4 of the way to the north from junction with Central. You'll see your vehicle tracks going east, and there's you should see one male, a piece of a male.
He's telling us about the males. Yeah, we've got the males, Brent. Any idea where the females and youngsters are?
So from a little bit to the north of that redwood, there on the edge of the drainage there, you should see vehicle tracks going in.
So they're in the bushes over here. Let's just drive in here and see what we can see. These drainage line areas are so brilliant if you're trying to hide cubs away. Because it means, of course, that vehicles can't get in there. It's cool on a hot day like it was today. But I don't see any other evidence. There are plenty of vehicle tracks around here. And there are elephants at the Djuma Dam Cam if you want to look at them. But let's just try and have a quick look and see if we can't find the lionesses in here now. Just get to the edge of the drainage here, and then we'll stop and have a little listen. Oh, I can see vehicle tracks here. What I'm going to do is just take the binoculars out, and Eggsy, I'm going to ask you to sweep sort of from left to right and see if there they are, straight in front of us. Well spotted with their little ones. No? So just a cub or just a mother? They're so deep in the bush. Let's move forward. Now, this is not going to be a great view of them. They're in a perfectly cosseted spot there. Can you see them there, Eggsy? They're straight through here. They're the other side, yeah. Do you see one here as well? Okay, Eggsy's seen others, everyone. Oh, have you got them there? There you are. So, not the best view of the Nkuhuma Pride that we've ever had. Yeah, we'll just keep looking around here and see if the rest aren't around here somewhere. And you've got another one there, Eggsy. Vehicle. Down in the drainage. Oh, and Eggsy's got a nose that he can see. Oh yes, I can see her. Thank you. Yeah, everybody, we're not going to be able to get any better view of them. They're right in the drainage there, and I think the little ones are there too. We might try one view from around that side. Let's try that. And then, if not, we'll try those elephants. Well done, Egbert. Good job. I'm a little bit torn because apparently the elephants at the water are the short trunk herd, which is my favourite little herd. So let's just ease our way through here and have a quick look over the edge of the drainage. In fact, I don't think we're going to get a good view. We might. We might. If they're lying in exactly the right gap, we're going to get a good view. Excuse the noise, everyone. Lovely sound, that. There we are. That's actually not a bad view at all, Eggsy. You see there? Unfortunately, no babies over there. Deborah Armchair Traveller, I agree with you completely. It's absolutely scandalous that these lions should be lying in a position where you are unable to get good screenshots of them. It's selfish, it's unkind, it's unwarranted, and it's just not cricket. Now, if you listen very carefully, you can hear the cubs now starting to have a bit of a fight over their evening milk. I don't know if you can hear that again. But unfortunately, we are not going to get a view of them up there. Alright, I think that we should leave these chaps and go and try and find those Ellies. We might pass by here again afterwards. Oh, there's no, there isn't. That's it. Brock, in Pennsylvania, you're interested in whether or not these lions have a dominant in the pride, the females. They don't. In theory, it isn't. In theory, there is no dominant lioness. In theory, it's purely just a sort of socialized group of females who look after each other. But what you find is that the bigger the lion is, the greater the chance she has of eating, because she'll just bash off the others. And lion society is very ignoble. Basically, the larger you are, the better your chances of feeding, and that is what defines dominance in the lion pride. This creature, which many would call the king of the jungle, I would call the great gangster of the jungle, he is dominant over all the females, the two of them, and there's not normally a dominant there's not normally a dominance hierarchy amongst these great criminals of the bushveld, the big male lions. But sometimes when there's some fighting over mating, there is an attempt to sort of assert some form of dominance. But these guys are all the same size, they're all closely related to each other, so there doesn't seem to be any kind of dominance. They are so very happy to be lying under that bush. Let's go and have a quick look at those elephants. We're not far away. And they're still drinking and having a dust bath at the moment, apparently, which is very nice to know. Come on, Wendy. I haven't seen this elephant for a little while now. And apparently there's more than just the short trunk herd there. There are a few others there as well. Yeah. Heidi in Las Vegas. A very good question from you living in Las Vegas. You say if it's hot in our winter. It's not hot in our winter, but it's not cold. How hot does it get in the summer? The answer is beastly hot. It will regularly hit 40 degrees, sometimes 45 degrees Celsius, and I think 42 is 100 degrees Celsius, because a human being is 98, if I'm not mistaken. So, no, 100 is about 39 degrees Celsius. And it regularly goes up to sort of 105 degrees in the summertime, which is okay. It's perfectly manageable if we get the rainstorms in the afternoon. Then it doesn't really matter because everything cools down at night and it's really rather quite pleasant. But during the drought that we had last year, that sun, which is a gorgeous color you can see now, was just this plain burning white ball that came up white and it went down white every single day, and no rain came, and it was that oppressive hot temperature. And in a normal season it's actually not very unpleasant at all, but in a drought season it can be very difficult, which I imagine is quite similar to where you live in Las Vegas, which is in a desert, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so let's approach these chaps, I think from underneath them. Let's go this way, into the dam. You're right there, Eggsy, hanging off the side of the carful. Just getting some fresh air, is that what you said? I see. I got a little weary when I saw that one over there. We were chased by an elephant this morning on Cheetah Plains, a one-tusked cow. Small cow, that's a bull. She was deeply displeased to see us. Now you can see us approaching these elephants. Look at the one on the right-hand side of your screen now. You can see her opening her ears a little bit. That's because she's watching us. I'm not going to approach too closely at this stage. I'm going to stop over here, so you can see where I've stopped. That's my favorite elephant there. You can see walking now to the left-hand side of your screen. She's just missing her trunk, and that's her little herd. That's her little herd there. And these are two bulls walking behind her. Not with her. Eggsy, the two bulls walking behind her. Well done. Those two bulls walking behind her, I've seen with her a few times, actually. I don't think they're related necessarily, but they would like to hook up every so often with a herd like this, just because I suppose there's a bit of security involved. But see how he's reticent to approach her. She stopped and she's talking to him. There's no question. It's almost like she's saying to him, that's enough. And they don't always like to have these young, boisterous bulls around them. It's a very interesting conversation happening here. There he's approaching a bit closer. Let's see what she says. And remember, they are talking to each other with that infrasonic sound that we can't hear. See how she waited and sent the others off in front of her? And almost said to him, you stay here. He's just of an age when he's not sure of himself. It's so like human beings, it's uncanny. He's of an age when he's not sure of himself. He wants to sort of assert his independence, but he's feeling probably a bit homesick as well. Let me just move a little bit so Eggsy can get a slightly easier shot. There you are, Eggsy. And she's just not having any of it. It's also possible that the young cow in the herd is coming into estrus, and that, even though he's a young bull, it might attract the young cow. At least it might attract the young bull. And this chap coming in is much bigger. He's probably about 18 or so. And the other young bull I would put, I don't know, about 16. And can you hear them moving? That just sort of lovely sound of elephant foot on the sand. Now that other bull, hang on a second. Cecilia, you're in Maryland and you're wondering about the age structure of this herd and saying surely in a herd like this there should be more than one adult female. There normally is, and we're not exactly sure what happened here. In this herd, there are at least two of that elephant that you're looking at, the short-trunked female. There are at least two that are her offspring. The other one, which is just slightly smaller than her, and she's not older, she's probably only about 30 or so, I would say, maybe even younger. You know, she could be 25 or so, in fact. The other one could also be her offspring, or perhaps a sibling from the herd that she has detached from. Why she's on her own, I don't know. We don't know her history, or why she's left the herd that she was in. You know, her natal herd. She's very clearly not in her natal herd anymore, which is unusual. It's a lovely picture of them eating that black monkey thorn. Look at this little thing coming down there. And they're there next to the mother. Then perched there on the dam wall. He's just sort of still suckling, you see, so very much of what that little thing does now is just playing. There's an element of trying to eat adult food, but when he's hungry he just goes off and has a drink. And Mia, you're just 4 years old, and thank you very much for getting hold of us. I hope you're having a good time wherever you are in the world. You say, have any of us seen Benjamin Button? Now, for those of you who don't know, Benjamin Button, a very strangely wrinkly elephant who looks like he's got very old before his time. And Mia, we haven't seen him for a little while. I think I last saw him probably about a month ago. So, no, he hasn't been seen. But that's normal, Mia. You know, these elephant herds move big distances, and we sometimes don't see this short trunk herd, if you like, that's what we call them, for many weeks at a time. So I'm sure Benjamin Button is just fine. He's a very odd-looking elephant, isn't he? I'm just going to move around a little bit so we can get a slightly different angle, maybe a better view. We're right in the Djuma Dam, and when I arrived here in May last year, we'd have been underwater now. Hello, Thomas. You're in Pennsylvania. Let me just just get into position. You can see she's just lifted her leg a little bit as if to say you might be coming a bit close. So we'll just stop here. Thomas, you say if an elephant is sick, will it leave the herd? No, Thomas, it won't leave the herd unless it's too sick to keep up with the herd. So if it is very sick and cannot keep up with the herd, then the herd might leave it, or I suppose, we don't know exactly what the situation is. We don't know if it then says to its mates, go on without me, I'll catch up if I can, or if its mates say to it, that's it, we got to cut loose the dead weight. We don't know what that is, but an extremely sick elephant might be left behind. But I don't think they voluntarily leave the herd, no. Eating some interesting plants there. I don't know what that one on the top is eating. It's a very strange looking plant. It's some kind of reed, I think. In fact, yeah, it's definitely a reed that would grow here when it's wet, which it isn't. But just look at the agility. Perched on a very steep slope there, both the baby and that slightly older one. So those two that you're looking at there, I'm pretty sure are the short-trunked female's offspring. The first one, I suspect her first baby, and the second one a fairly recent one. And what she's doing now is walking along here. She's looking at us, and she's smelling the purple panweed, which is this very rather sweet-smelling herbaceous plant. And I think that you'll find it's not the best eating, but I think she's going to try some. But difficult for her, of course, because she does not have the prehensile edge to her toes. At least she doesn't have the prehensile tip to her trunk, should I say, sorry. And there she's shaking off the dirt, popping it into her mouth. I wonder if she'll like it. I don't think any of the animals like this stuff particularly, mainly because it still survives. No, not too bad. See if she has some more, and she tells the others to come down and have some. See how she picks it up now, watch. She has to just kind of touch it with her trunk, and then she'll have to kick it out with her foot. There we go. Not easy for her. At least she's lucky, you see that? See how she has to scrape it out, and then she can pick it up. Not easy for her, but she can touch the ground. Now I've seen a number of sort of half-trunked or short-trunked elephants that cannot touch the ground anymore, and then it's really hard. Then if they want to eat something like this, they've got to get onto their knees and kind of put their mouths to it, and that's not easy. And when they drink, they've almost got to bury their faces in the water. But she's doing fine. Somehow she's managed to adapt. And again, I say this fairly regularly, but the resilience of all the animals out here never ceases to amaze me. With that very skillful and gentle kick of the bushes out of the ground, picking up almost no dust. She knows exactly where her trunk is, exactly where to stand, exactly where to put her foot. It's such a silent part of the evening, as I've said to you before. The sun is now set. And there's just a few francolins calling, and soon the drongos will start to call their last. And one or two oxpeckers going home to bed. I can hear them flying over us. Chip, 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 chip. Now sticking close to Mum, the little one. And the others have gone the other side of the dam wall, and like I said to you earlier, They'll be chatting to each other. They'll be talking consistently. You see that foot lifted there? That means there's communication going on. See? She's now walking up. It's almost as if there was something making her slightly uncomfortable. That's what, when they lift their feet like that, it's exactly what that cow did before she gave us a bit of a rev this morning. And this cow is definitely not doing it because of us. She's perfectly used to us. Ah, Eggsy. Look, it's daytime again. Eggsy, 2 days in one, eh? There's a bonus for you. That's what living in the bush gives you. Eggsy, every day's your day. Eggsy says today's not his day, everyone. Tanya, a very good question. There seems to be a huge amount coming out of Pennsylvania today. That's quite nice. Pennsylvania is clearly on Safari Live Watch right now. Brilliant stuff. You say, could she have been separated from the herd as a result of her trunk being lost? I was actually thinking that earlier, so I suppose it would be possible that she could have perhaps lost the trunk to a snare. You know what, she may have been stuck in a snare as a youngster. Maybe the rest of the herd abandoned her there, but that's very unusual and probably wouldn't happen. I suspect much more likely, if she was caught in the snare, say, a youngster the size of her little calf there, normally they'd scream and shout and they'd break the snare, they'd break her free. Well, it's possible, Tanya. I don't know. It'd certainly explain why she's on her own. But also she would have to have weaned already. All right, we're going to sit here with these elephants for a little while. Brent Leo Smith is back up and running and he's heading back to the lions.
So it's the right time of the day to head towards the lions. I'm hoping they're going to get moving shortly. So James has got those wonderful elephants behind us at Gowrie Dam, and I'm going to head straight towards where those male lions are. I wonder if the females and cubs are around. I really wonder if they're going to head back towards that carcass. There might be hyenas heading there a little bit later, but I think they might be a bit nervous because of the presence of the male lions. Those male lions are sticking around the Nkuhuma females because one of them looks like she's about to come into estrus. Lots of Ellies around the corner. So here we go, just one of the Buffelshoek people out on an evening game drive. They've just been with the lions who were schnoozing, but hopefully them and my luck holds true and they decide to get moving when we arrive. Okay, it sounds like everyone's leaving them. And so we'll have the lions to ourselves for the next little while. Now, the wonderful thing about being live and being out in the African bush is literally we never know. Are those lions going to stand up? Are they going to start roaring? Are they going to head back to that buffalo carcass? we just saw a duiker dash out, and I know the rest of the lionesses in there. I was half hoping to see a lioness dashing out after the duiker. But I think I'm quite convinced the duiker is dashing due to the presence of the lions. So the rest of the Nkuhuma Pride were actually down in this little river system. And we did have a brief view of them a little bit earlier. So here's still one game drive vehicle here with the males, but I'm going to go have a quick look if we can see if the females are still around. Hi Janet. Janet's wondering, has anyone seen the lion cubs with the skin issues? Those are the Styx Pride, Janet, and they do not come this far north. So the Styx Pride spend most of their time further to the east on Cheetah Plains, and they do come onto Djuma very occasionally, but we're looking for the Nkuhumas at the moment, and hopefully they will be right here. Osafo, evening, evening. Very well, thanks, self. So they're the sleeping boys, very much asleep. Say when, VM? Now, the rest of the pride is not too far away. I mean, if I didn't know those were just sleeping male lions, you would almost think they might have expired. Nice and cool, so not breathing too heavily. Ruri, who's a very smart 9-year-old, and has noticed that the lions have a whitish patch or a lighter coloured patch below their eyes. Now Ruri, it's so they can see better at night. So that white catches all the ambient light and it makes it look even lighter for them than it is normally. So that's there especially to catch any ambient light that's around. Sorry, I just thought I heard something. I'm just going to have a quick squiz, probably not more than a couple of meters away. Now, I don't think anyone knows the rest of the Nkuhumas were sleeping just behind there. See, I was right. No one knew. I can see an Nkuhuma. Not the best view of one. So, if we go straight over the bonnet here. Now, believe me, that's a lion. And if we look down to the right, in the bottom of the ravine, lying under that log, there's another. Now the cubs are around here as well. I can hear the cubs. I can just hear those. Sounds like they're suckling. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's an almost impenetrable area. So we'll go back to the big boys who are lying out in the open. But it looks like there's not going to be too much movement from any of the lions at the moment. So maybe we'll get another glimpse through the trees. a bit thick, unfortunately. Alright, let's go back to the big boys. Oh, there's a little stretch. Now, Sally in Oregon says, my first real life lion log. Well, we did see a little stretch there. Now, those little bits of movement like that are precursors to possibly a bit more movement. Could we be spoilt enough that the lion logs might start roaring? If they don't roar during the sunset safari, I guarantee you keep a listen on the Djuma Dam cam. I think there's going to be a lion cacophony this evening. Very comfortable kitty. Now, quite often when following big cats, you have to have an incredible amount of patience because, I mean, a male lion on average will sleep for about 20 hours a day. So anyone at home who likes napping, you should have been a male lion. But it is incredible that they take almost zero notice of us, as we are probably only about 10 foot away from them. See there on his back, you can see how much darker the manes are since when we first started seeing the Birmingham boys. So they are in their prime at the moment. They're just about 6 years old. At the moment, these two are probably not as dominant as the third, who's lying up with the pride. Now what happens is, oh, there we go. Are we going to have a little roll? Now we need a yawn and a leg stretch and a urinate, and then we're in business that they might move before the end of the safari. Well, Mood Honeydew is wondering why we can always see their teeth. Can they not close their mouths all the way? No, they're quite capable of. They're just being lazy. He's also lying on his back, so his top lip is going to be falling down. I can't see any teeth there. But they are definitely capable of closing their mouths fully. Now, as darkness sets, the lion's time begins. We are the dominant diurnal predator, so the dominant daytime predator is actually a human being. But as the night sets in, lions become the dominant predator. And a lion's behavior to a human being on foot is completely different during the evening and at night than it is during the day. And that reason you want to get home when it gets dark. It's an instinctive response from when we used to live on the African savannah. But quickly across to James.
This is amazing, everybody. These two bulls are in the middle of having quite a serious argy-bargy. I'm most excited, of course, because I have found the opportunity to say argy-bargy. Let me just move up a little bit so we can get a good view. I don't want to get in their way. They're not adults. Well, they're sort of adults. They're sort of teenagers. Old teenagers. One of them, I think, is pushing 20, the one on your left. And I know the picture's a bit dark, but just enjoy this. I'm not going to shine any light on them. I might put the... And you see, this chap is much bigger than the other one. And here he is moving in. Oh, don't do it behind the bush. There we go. You got them, the eggs. Isn't that fantastic? Look at the dust. That's Vuyatela you can see behind there, the camp. Just going to move a little bit so that Eggsy can get a slightly better angle at them. I'm going to keep our distance as much as we can. Just simply, I mean, the one on the right is much smaller. And you can see he's almost saying, go away and leave me alone. And the big one is bullying him now. Ooh, it's not a very nice place to have a tusk stuck. Isn't this amazing? And they're just catching the light off the dam cam there. You can go to the dam cam view. I don't know what that's like. Look at the dust. If the zoomie is watching, can I ask that you zoom all the way out? Because I think you'll probably get an unbelievable picture of that dust floating away. Not you, Eggsy. You can stay zoomed in. You're not a zoomie. So there's the dam cam view. Apparently not the best view. I'm going to try and get a bit closer while you're on the dam cam view. Sorry, hold on, Eggsy. Don't fall off the car at this juncture. You've done very well to stay on so far. I don't think it's there. I don't think they're having a particularly serious fight. We come back to us now. You may well find that they're brothers, you know, who've been tossed out of the herd together. The older one looks at the right age to be tossed out of the herd. The younger one is probably a little bit young. And now he's having something to drink, and the big one wants to fight. The little one just wants to be left alone. What a great sight. And in the background you can probably hear the drongos. Hello, I think what I'm going to pronounce is Rory in Edinburgh. It's probably that strange Scottish spelling of Rory. Very nice to hear from you all the way from Edinburgh. Thank you for getting hold of us. You say, have I ever been charged by an elephant and what did I do? Rory, what I did was drive away. It happened to me today, you know. It's very unusual that it happens, but a cow got very cross with me and my friend Viam, who was filming. We don't really know why, and she chased us down the road. And she chased us for a little while, but luckily we had a forward escape route. Oh, look at that. All of that water being sprayed out. So the thing, Rory, is that when you get into a sighting of elephants, you try and make sure always that if you have to drive quickly, you can go forwards. Because it's quite easy to get away from an elephant if you can go forwards away from them. Not so easy if you have to go backwards, because then you can't see where you're going. And you might bump into a tree and stop suddenly, and then you can be in trouble. But it's unusual, you know, Rory. It used to be much more usual, but these days the elephants, especially in this area, have gained quite a lot of trust from us. And so they don't normally chase us. Right, everybody, we're going to leave you now as these elephants look like they're going to have another fight. Thank you for joining us for this lovely drive. We'll just sit here and see what they do. If they have another fight, we might just keep watching. We're going to close now. Thank you, Eggsy, for your efforts. Big job, well done. I know you said it wasn't your day, but you know, Eggsy, I think it was. We'll see you all tomorrow, everybody, at 6 o'clock in the morning, just before the sun comes up. For the last minute or so, head across to Brent and the Lions.
So the Lions have rolled over one tiny bit, and they have not moved much at all, as you can see. The rest of the pride is lying up probably about 50 meters from them in the drainage system, with one dominant Birmingham who's chasing after what looked to be the amber-eyed lioness who's about to come into estrus. But it has been an incredible evening today. We've been lucky enough. We've had lions, we've had ellies, we've had Queen Karula, even just for the briefest moment as she dashed down to the south. Hopefully on tomorrow's sunrise safari, she'll bring Hosana and Shongile back for a visit to the north. As I said, these lions don't look like they're going to do anything this evening. Oh, there we go. That's about the most movement we've had all day. What I think he's heard the cubs and the other lionesses down in the drainage line behind him, and he's just listening carefully. But remember to keep your ears open on the Djuma Dam cam, because I think these guys are going to be making lots of noise tonight. And from Viam and myself, it's been wonderful having you on this live African safari. Unfortunately, the Birmingham boys are not quite reading the script, so it doesn't look like they're going to roar for us tonight. Hopefully, we'll have them roaring first thing on the sunrise safari. Always very exciting. But for the last few seconds of drive, we're going to say good night, or bonne nuit in French, but let you look at a sleeping lion.